Good afternoon. Welcome to Coding with Tim Sever, an introduction to Python. Today we are going to review strings and loops. So let's begin. Okay, so let's look at the solutions to the study guide. So problem 1, we need to compute the string concatenation of s plus t, which is fal bar. And then we have the repetition operator 2 times that, which just doubles that, so it's fal bar, fal bar. Now, our print statement is going to print the result of the expression barf in that string, and you can see there in the middle is barf, so that should return a true and be printed. What's the number 2? What's the result of this? This should be an error because the ORD function can only take a one-character string. Foo is 3 characters. Problem 3, we'll look at the slice expression. So we need to start with the beginning of the string. It's debatable what they really mean by every third character here. Some people might say it's really every fourth character, but here what we want to do is simply what they intend here is to simply increment by 3. Simplest way to do that, and of course this is multiple choice, so we have to look at the choices given. It would be s:::, which means start from the beginning, go to the end. And then the step, we just want the step to be 3, every third character. So the answer is A. Number 4 is similar. We want to start at the back of the string, move toward the front, so you want the step to be negative. And we want every third character starting at the end, the rightmost character. So that would be s:::, which would again tell us to begin the slice from the entirety of the string, and now stepping every third character moving right to left. That would be number 4. And number 5, which of these expression reverses the string? That would be s:::, -1. Turn it around and take every character. s:::, -1. That's D. Okay, number 6. So suppose S is assigned as follows. It's foosball, spelled that way. Which of the following are the same except 1? So we compute these. We'll look at number A, s:::, -1. We know it's to reverse the string, and then if you take the -1 index of that's just the last character. So notice I'm showing the work. We reverse it. Now you take the -1 character, which is the F, and now S at the length of S -1. That's just the rightmost character of the original string, not the reverse string, which would be L. So we have FL. B is a little easier. It's the first character concatenated with the last character. That should be FL. C is again reverse the string. And now on that string, we want to reverse again, but taking every 6th character. So we look at labsuf, double L, and then we extract, we reverse again, taking every 6th character. That should be the FL. So thus far, they're all equal FL. Now D is a little simpler. This is just taking every 6th character from the beginning. And you need to count them out. So F is the 0th character, so you count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the first L, FL. And we could answer by process of elimination, but we need to go ahead and compute it. So S:::, the slice, s:::, -5 is again every 5th character starting from the back, moving left. You could also think of it as reversing the string, then taking every 5th character. And that will be LO. So that's the one that's different. Number 7, we're supposed to use F string in interpolation. So now we have a variable person. We want to put that in place of name. So this should be B. B is an F string. We're using single quotes, and we're interpolating the variable person. And the interpolation is done with the set braces, not the brackets. And notice what's the difference between B and C? C is not an F string. Okay, number 8. Now this is interesting. So I've shown the work on the side here, so we know how the count function works. So we need to count the number of $signs. On the first one, it's through the entire string. Obviously, there are 3. That's the easiest part. Now the second one, we start at the 5th character, move to the 9th character. Remember, it's 1 less than the ending position. How many $signs are there? There are just 1. Look in green there. So you see that's tricky. You don't end on 10. That would give you 2. So remember, you count 5 through 9 inclusive. Think of the scissors snipping that as a slice. The third one, you're counting the $signs moving forward at the 5th position. They're obviously 2. So this program would output 3, 1, 2, which is D. Number 9 is kind of interesting. So you have a string. Notice there's a space at the end. That's going to come into play in a moment. Which of the following are equal to the original string S? Well, if you take the upper and take the lower, that should give you S back. If you take the lower than the upper, that will give you S back. If you strip, now that's not going to be S because strip takes out the white space from both sides, so that would take out the space at the end. That's not going to be equal to S anymore. Left strip takes white space from the left, but there is none, so this will equal S. And finally, the right strip takes out that rightmost space, which is white space, and that's not equal to the original string anymore. A while loop is used for what type of iteration? Indefinite. The for loops are the definite ones. So remember, on the while, you're looking at a condition, which is used to terminate the loop, rather than a definite loop stepping through elements of a sequence. Okay, number 11. Which of the following are valid string, literal string, not valid variable names? So let's think. The first one is valid. Notice the single quote in the middle is okay because we have double quotes. The B is out because there are no quotes. C is out because of you have an odd number of single quotes. Notice the quote in the middle. D is okay. E is a number. It's a valid variable assignment, but it's a number, not a string. And F is okay. And now this 12 is just simple string concatenation. We get the single string real Python with no spaces, and single quotes or double quotes to represent it is fine. Number 13, Spock said, insufficient facts always invite danger. We want to store that as a string literal and assign that to the variable Vulcan's rule. So notice you need to use a mixture of the quote types, which we don't have in these answer choices, or you need to use escape characters, which we are using. So the answer here is B. 14. Joining two strings with the plus operator is correctly referred to as string concatenation. 15. Suppose that you have the following two strings, peanut butter and banana, are stored in topping 1, topping 2, respectively. Use string concatenation to create the quote peanut butter and jelly, and then assign that to the variable named sandwich. And notice you have spaces after the R and before the J. That's why B is not correct. So A is the correct answer. Notice it's the concatenation of three strings. One is a literal. Notice the spaces around the ampersand. 16. Consider the following loop header for val in range 5 to 100, step 10. For this loop, what would be the starting value? 5, obviously. Number 17. For this following loop, for val in range 25, what's the starting value? 0. Really, it might have been more interesting to ask what's the ending value. For this loop header, for val in range 5 to 110, what's the increment value? And that's 10. Consider the following loop header for val in range 25. What is the increment value for this loop? 1. That was number 19. 20. Strings are immutable in Python, which means the string cannot be modified. Correct. True. 21. Python does not support a character type. Unlike other languages, a string character must be a string of length 1. That is also true. 22. Let's look at this code segment. I'm not going to read it. So now we have num. We can assume that the user has entered 15 for num and 10 for count. When this loop is finished executing, what is the value of j? You need to step through that. I'm not showing that here. It would be, since it's just one simple loop, we know what will happen. It terminates at num minus 1, so the answer is 14. Now number 23 is a little bit more complex, so I've shown the by hand trace in a table. We have three variables, I, j, and t. We want to track them through this nested looping. And notice how I have for each value of I, j ranges through its values of 3 and 4. Remember, we don't include the 5. And so now I have my table, and I compute t equal t plus I minus j. And what you want to see here is t starts out to be 0. I'm showing that in gold. And then when you compute a value of t off the first iteration, namely t is minus 3, that becomes the value for the augmented operator on the next step. And I'm showing that in a color gold there. So finally, the t is minus 15 at the end of this code execution. Which loop produces that? And notice I'm writing the loop in a single statement, which is not necessarily recommended, but it's certainly acceptable in Python if your body is just one statement. So now notice you want think about it, you want the indices to range between 1 and 5 inclusive, so that should say your range should go from 1 to 6. So now we're looking at D, E, and F, and now you want to, at each stage, you want to use repetition. So we're going to multiply I, which is the number of times to repeat the character, times string of I, which converts the index in the loop. 25. How many times does the following program print the string Python rules? And it's the number of times in the loop, which is 1 through 6, not inclusive, which is 5. So that prints word, which is Python rules 5 times. Which two statements are used to implement iteration in Python? For and while. 27. What is the output of the following code? You will read it, run through the loop, doing your trace. Notice we start at t is 5. Now the print comes after the decrement, so the first value to be printed would be 4. So notice you should look at your multiple choice answers. Process of elimination says it's either C, D, E if it said none of the above, and then let's see when it terminates. So it prints 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, then it prints, and then when t is equal to 0, the loop terminates, so the answer should be C. Again, read the code, pause if you need to. Print comes before the decrement, decreasing t by 2, so it should print 10, then it goes to 8, to 6, to 4, to 2, and then when t is 0, it doesn't enter the loop, and it exits the loop, printing 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, which is C. Now let's take a look at this number 29, while true, and of course that would be an infinite loop. There's nothing to stop that loop from running, so it's C. It continuously prints hello world. Conversely, let's look at 30. While false, it never enters the loop body. No print statement is executed. No output is generated. Answer is D. Now this is number 31 is just like 29, except now we have a break statement. So it enters the loop, prints hello world, and breaks. We only get one print line of output. Answer A. What is the output of the following code? If the user, typo, enters the string Python, without the quotes of course, on the first try. Okay, so notice, look at the code, pause again if you need to, but we're testing whether it's Python with a capital P. So it does enter the loop because the internal password is Python. They don't match. So it says you need to enter the password again. So it prints that out, goes back to get further input, and all we cared about was what happens up to the point of the first execution through the loop, and then it holds enter your password again. 33, we want to go from 1 to 10 inclusive, so that's a simple range 1 to 11. Now this one is 34 is another cumulative sum starting at 10. So you could trace this out. I did it mentally. It's 1 to 10 counting by 2. So you have a step of 2. So the range will be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Add those up to the number 10, you get 35. So really it's 25 plus 10. So here the single cell amoeba, so each cell divides itself into 2 cells every 3 hours. What is the correct code to put inside this body in a 24-hour period? So I'm showing you could have started counting at 0. You can start wherever you want. Started at 1, felt that was why? Because the range values in the loop, when I looked at those, started at 1. So it's natural to start at 1 or 3 when trying to figure out what's going on. So you have 1. So notice what happens. You get a new amoeba every 3 hours. So and the way I've got the number line written, 1 to 4 to 7 to 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25. But really, let's look at that 1 to 4. That's 3 hours. You see, not the numbers on the number line, count the spaces, count the gaps. So you have 1, 2, 3 hours, right? So that's 1 3-hour period. 1, 2, 3 hours is another 3-hour period. So it looks like the answer is A. When you do that, you should have 256 at the end of a 24th hour. So this block here represents the end of the 24th hour starting here. 36, what's the output? Notice we have 4x in range 2, nested with 4y in range 2. Each loop iterates twice. 2 times 2 is 4, so the body of the inner loop will execute 4 times. So now we just run through it with no spaces since we have the separator equal the null string. So it should just be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 printed on their own lines. 37, another nested loop. How many times does this loop execute? Which in the way I've set it up, it's also the value of the count. So the inner loop and the outer loop each iterate 10 times. 10 times 10 is 100. And that should be the value of the count. Easy to test. 38, same thing. Now it's generalized, exact same problem. We don't care what statement is. It's a single statement. How many times does that execute? The outer loop is 0 to n minus 1, which is n iterations. The inner loop is the same, n iterations. And when you nest in this way, it's multiplicative. So it's n times n, which is n squared iterations. 39, so repeat is the single character lowercase y. And what is the result of this OR statement? Would be true. And then, of course, another kind of equivalent way of testing it. If you do repeat upper, then it converts the lowercase y to upper, and then we test, is that equal to uppercase y? And it is. That's true as well. We have a simple diagram. We have bunches of grapes laid out on the counter on this triangular pyramid, and you want to write code to add them up. So what goes into the blank inside this loop? Now notice total is 0, so what do you want to add? Think of the first row. You want to add 1, which is the row, the first value of the loop. What's the second value of the loop? 2. Well, that's you want to add 2 more bunches. The third value of the loop is 3, so it should be total equal total plus row is the missing line, and that's what I have. 42, we have a simultaneous assignment. X is 1, Y is 2. So here the variables x and y are meaningless, and we want to concatenate the two string literals, singleton x and singleton y, to obtain the string xy. So you get xy as the result. This is not interpolation, it's not an F string. And there are no braces around the variables anyway. What's the output of the following code? Is string 1 all digits? No. It has alphabetics there, so the answer is false. So first this code would print false. Is string 2 all digits? Yes. So C, false, followed by true. This one is simple string concatenation. And notice you'd concatenate those with no spaces. Welcome PyNative, D. Now this one I've shown the work of each of the slices out to the side. As simple as slice. You go from, remember, so the first slice is 3 characters starting at 1. The second one starts at the first character goes to 4 inclusive. The third slice goes from 4 to the end of the string. Fourth slice starts at the beginning, goes to the last character, not inclusive, so it cuts off the E on PyNative. And it's the same thing for the last slice. Remember, when you have just a colon there, it's the same as putting 0. So that should be answer C. Which method would you use to convert the string welcome to the beautiful world of Python to welcome the beautiful world of Python? The first letter of each word capped, and that's the title method, not the uppercase, which converts everything to uppercase. Lowercase converts everything to lowercase. Capitalized just capitalizes the first character W of the string. Is the string alphanumeric? Yes, and it's all alphabetics or digits, so this is true. Select the correct output. Here we're using the capitalize method. It only capitalized the first character of the string. That is C. Capitalizes the first M. 48. Remember your string comparison. John, the J's are equal, so you move to the second character to make the comparison. Lowercase o comes after lowercase h, so John, J-O-H-N, is greater than J-H-O-N. And Emma is not less than M, because E-M-M would come before Emma in the alphabet, in the lexicographic ordering. What is the first index of any non-empty string? 0. And why non-empty? Because the empty string has no indices. 0 would be out of range. What will the following Python code print? It prints the length of hello world, which is 12 characters, easy to count out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. My string Python is a wonderful class. Which of the following will print the word wonderful? So which slice goes with wonderful? You just count it out. It should be from the 12th character to the 20th, inclusive, so we should take the slice from 12 to 21. Easy to count out. lowercase converts India in all caps to lower, so the answer is B. We have already asked this question a different way. Joining elements to make a string is called concatenation. How many parameters can be given to the slice operator? Well, not just one exactly, not just two exactly. Could be 1, 2, or 3, so the best way to say it is a maximum of 3. So notice on this slice, if you look at the step, that's negative, so it's basically going to traverse the string from right to left, and I'm showing that here in the diagram. So it's going to go from the -1 index to the -6 index, not inclusive, you always stop one before, from the right to left. So that will be T-I-B-R-O, T-bro. That's answer A. 56, what will the output be? And you start at the second character and go in 2s until you get to the 5th character, which will be the 4th character inclusive. This will be a 2-digit string. B, skip the R, E. So B-E, answer E. And this one has negative. The next problem, 57, has negative indices. Notice I've labeled them up top. Start at -10. Go to the last character not inclusive by 6s. So you start at -10, count forward every 6 characters. You only have 2 characters before you run out of room in the string, so it should be R, capital C, answer A. Notice the -1. This is a simple slice to reverse the string, so you just reverse it. Umbrella, corporation in reverse, answer B. Why are loops needed in programming? All these answers are correct. How do we differentiate the body of the loop from the rest of the code? Using proper indentation. That's at number 60, answer C. Now again, anytime that you really want to know what's going on in a loop, what will it print? You need to run the trace. You can do that by hand. Value starts at 200, and then we're going to keep going until the value drops below 10. That's what our while is. While value is bigger than or equal to 10, we're going to continue the execute or iterate through the body of the loop. And now what do? You multiply by 2, you get 200. You integer divide by 7, that gives you 57, which is bigger than 10. Next time through the loop, because 57 is bigger than 10, you multiply by 2, 114. Integer divide by 7, you get 16, still bigger than 10. Next time through the loop, multiply by 2, you get 32. Integer divide by 7, you get 4. And now 4 is not bigger than or equal to 10. You terminate, you go to the last statement, which is print value. What is the value for? Answer C. Look at this code, pause the video. And this this code isn't written very well. We don't need the I+1 in each of the clauses. We could have moved out the else clause and then just put I+1 after the if. But nonetheless, this is the way it's written. And what happens here? What's the value of I? It will be how many characters are in my string? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the value of I would be 11 when it ends the loop. None of these. Another concatenation problem through the loop. This time we iterate basically on the length, which is 6. We're going to subtract 2 every time. So that should take us through the loop 3 times, doing the by hand trace. Build starts at empty, first time through the loop. Now notice the front end of the slice is moving up 1 character at a time. The ending value of the slice is decreasing 2 characters at a time. So the first slice is 0 through the length of the string, which is the whole string Python, and then decrease by 2 n, increase your I, come through the loop. Now we're taking the slice 1 through 4, and that of course gives me the characters length, a string of length 3, YTH, and then the next time through n is 0, and then that's what Python is. It has 9 characters. Thank you for watching this review of strings and loops in Python. We'll see you next time.